Let them fight. Godzilla vs. Kong just stomped its way onto HBO Max, and it does not skimp on the hot Titan on Titan action. Directed by Adam Wingard, this king-size kaiju epic is big, it's loud, and it definitely settles the question, who is the real alpha? Plus, new revelations about the future of Legendary's Monsterverse, and don't forget all the Easter eggs we could find while rooting around Hollow Earth. But before we do all of that, I have to warn you, this convoy is charting a course straight for spoiler territory, so if you haven't seen this movie yet or you don't want to know, now would be the time to scoot on out of here until we're done.
Godzilla. No, that's Mecha Godzilla.
Ha! He said it! He said the thing. Anyway, now that we're past the spoiler warning, here's your Titan size reveal. Mecha Godzilla is the real villainous threat in this movie, though that wasn't exactly a secret, but let's be honest, if you had a rogue AI-driven kaiju mech battle monster, you'd probably have a tough time keeping that a secret too. This guy knows what I'm talking about. Anyway, Legendary Pictures hasn't exactly kept a tight lid on the fact that Mecha Godzilla was secretly in this movie, as this large metal boy can be seen pretty clearly in some of the trailers, and fans jumped on that right away. They were right, he is in this movie, and Godzilla and Kong are forced to team up to take him down. Okay, recapping a bit how we got here, Godzilla and Kong throw hands a couple of times in this movie, and it's pretty clear that Godzilla is the deadlier monster. Round 1. A group of scientists are trying to transport Kong to Antarctica via sea, even though several well-qualified characters point out that this is a terrible idea. Which it is. Anyway, round 1 goes to Godzilla. He dang near drowns Kong, who only survives because he gets some timely outside help. The fleet is mostly wiped out, and Godzilla swims away because he thinks he killed Kong. Round 2. This time they're in Hong Kong, and King Kong is armed with a mythical battle axe. Look, we'll explain it in a second, but the important thing here is that it ultimately doesn't help him win the fight. Kong definitely holds his own in this one, and even appears to win the round, but Godzilla never throws in the towel. Vulnerable to the huge lizard's devastating ranged attack, Kong finds out exactly what happens when you bring a battle axe to an atomic breath fight. And that's when the bad guys, and we'll get to them in a minute too, activate Mecha Godzilla. At first, the big boy is controlled by a human pilot via psionic link, which is aided by King Ghidorah's skull. Monsterverse fans will remember the skull from the post-credit scene in Godzilla King of the Monsters when Papa Lannister and his eco-terrorist buddies take a trip to Mexico to collect it. Actor Charles Dance is not in this movie, but it seems like the evil multinational corp Apex seems to be the main beneficiary of his efforts in the last one. And if you're a little bit iffy on the science of using a skull to power a Titan-sized mech, just don't get too hung up on that. Because the skull eventually fries the psionic link, killing the pilot, more on him in a minute, meaning some combination of Ghidorah's skull and rogue AI taking over, meaning Mecha Godzilla gets to stomp around Hong Kong, destroying stuff to his metal heart's content. That's when Godzilla and Kong realize their moms are both named Martha and that they need to team up to take down Mecha Godzilla. Which they do. How does this version of Mecha Godzilla stack up with his predecessors on the big screen? Well, hang with us to the end and we'll go over that in the Easter egg roundup. Anyway, once the fighting is done, Godzilla and Kong somehow realize that they are not enemies, and Kong winds up in his Hollow Earth paradise, while Godzilla swims back into the deep, waiting for the next Titan threat to rear its ugly head. Or heads, I guess.
And that's where Kong's ancestors came from. We could help him find a new home.
A major addition this movie makes to the Monsterverse is its Hollow Earth, which, as our resident Skarsgård just pointed out, is where Kong needs to be. As the film opens, Kong is still on Skull Island, but Monarch has him under a containment dome, which he very much does not appreciate. The scientists know they can't keep him there forever, at which point they start talking about taking Kong to Hollow Earth. Problem is, the entrance is found in Antarctica. Hence the long trip over sea, which leads to Godzilla and Kong's first fight. They eventually airlift Kong to the Hollow Earth entrance, which is somehow not a worse idea than taking him by boat, but that's because Apex and the scientists have Gia, a young girl with the ability to communicate with Kong. She was the one who talked Kong into this leg of the crazy plan to get him to Hollow Earth in the first place. But he eventually gets there and he loves it. It's perfect for him, lots of fresh air, wide open spaces, and plenty of deadly mini-monsters for Kong to eviscerate and then devour. Don't ask me how there's fresh air in the center of the Earth, and don't ask me how they have their own sunsets down there. They just do. It's almost like an alternate reality located in the center of the Earth. Gravity works weird there, it's a whole thing, but the important part here is that Hollow Earth's ecosystem is just like Skull Island. Also, there's evidence that there were more of Kong's kind long ago, and they waged a war against ancient Godzillas. Kong even finds his battle axe, its blade a dorsal fin from a dead, fallen Godzilla a long time ago, and bonus, it can hold an energy charge, a detail which plays into Kong and Zilla's final fight with Mecha Godzilla. With axe in hand, Kong sits upon the throne, a true king. Kong leaves Hollow Earth to fight Godzilla and Mecha Godzilla in Hong Kong, but after the fighting is done at the end of the movie, Monarch returns Kong to Hollow Earth, and that's how we leave him, ruling over his new domain as king, King Kong. If Legendary's Monsterverse continues beyond Godzilla vs. Kong, Hollow Earth could well play into future plans. Because it's so disconnected from regular Earth, it could be the perfect place to hide more world-destroying monsters. In the timeline of Godzilla vs. Kong, both monsters are considered by Monarch and Apex to be the last two living titans. If new titans emerge to challenge Kong and or Godzilla, there's a strong chance they could come from Hollow Earth. And at what point do the top minds at Monarch and whatever's left of Apex realize that Hollow Earth is also the perfect solution to their Godzilla problem? I mean, yes, the big guy is technically a defender of Earth in the Monsterverse, but man, he sure does make a mess in the process, doesn't he? If Hollow Earth is a place where Kong can thrive away from the civilized world, then someone at Monarch eventually has to try and stash Godzilla there too, which... yeah, good luck with that. Okay, yes, there are humans in this movie, but just like with most kaiju movies, the stuff with the humans is just really there to frame the action between the monsters. And that's definitely true here, but lots of these movies just toss their human characters in a ship or a facility somewhere so they can watch in awe and horror as they explain the action to us, all from a safe distance from the destruction.
Let them fight.
That element is in Godzilla vs. Kong too, but for the most part, this movie works very hard to put its human characters in the most insanely dangerous scenarios imaginable. And there are some casualties. Oh, and also there's a child running around for most of this, so it gets a little absurd in places, but this approach is way more fun than just having the humans watch from a safe distance. First, you got Team Kong. Alexander Skarsgård is Dr. Nathan Lin, clearly a scientist. He's the Hollow Earth expert, and he used to work for Monarch. Rebecca Hall plays Dr. Eileen Andrews. She's Monarch's Kong expert, and for some reason the adoptive guardian of Gia, a young girl with the ability to communicate with Kong, which serves as the reason why this child is constantly in the most dangerous scenarios on the planet. Next, there's the civilian squad. Millie Bobby Brown returns as Madison Russell, a bright young girl who's super into podcasts and breaking and entering, apparently.
Anyone know what this leads to?
Kyle Chandler is back as her dad, who generally has no clue what's going on. Brian Tyree Henry plays Bernie Hayes, a former Apex employee who now makes a tinfoil hat type podcast, and Julian Dennison, who plays Josh, the undisputed best character in this movie.
Now that we're a team, I feel like we should come up with a plan.
We're breaking into Apex.
Wait, what?
You heard her? Tap water?
And then there's the evil corporate types. Demian Bashir is Walter Simmons, the founder and CEO of Apex Cybernetics. He's a hands-on type of executive who oversees security breach protocol and mecha giant monster piloting personally. He's not a delegator. Anyway, Simmons' mech pilot Ren Serizawa, who is also an Easter egg, more on him in a minute, and his daughter Maya Simmons, who you don't really need to worry about at all, actually. There are no end credits scenes directly setting up the next film in Legendary's Monsterverse, but that doesn't mean there isn't opportunity for more entries in the series. Monarch isn't portrayed as the evil corporation behind everything in this movie. It seems more that Monarch is trying to be the best caretaker it can be for Kong, undertaking several disastrous missions to try and get the big guy back to Hollow Earth. Monarch seems to spend most of the film trying to make the best of a pretty bad situation, and they seem to kind of be the Monsterverse's stand-in for S.H.I.E.L.D. in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. For now, it doesn't seem like Monarch has any obvious evil plans in the works moving forward, but that doesn't mean there aren't any. But Apex Cybernetics seems to be a much bigger problem at this point. Run by Walter Simmons, this is more the classic evil tech corp situation where the CEO is much more of a mad scientist than he is a businessman. Neither Simmons nor his daughter survived the film, but that doesn't mean the company died with them. In any case, they're gonna need a talented team to deal with the PR nightmare of unleashing an evil titan mech that destroyed half of Hong Kong. And of course, we kept our peepers peeled for all the Easter eggs we could find. Here's what we got. The first one is a pretty big one. Mecha Godzilla. First appearing in 1974's Godzilla vs. Mecha Godzilla, he's been in 6 movies and an anime series. He's basically just a big robot Godzilla with a bunch of rocket launchers and lasers and stuff. Sometimes he's man-made, sometimes he's from space. In the Monsterverse, he's technically both. All versions of Mecha Godzilla are robots built to give Godzilla a little trouble before ultimately losing, and this version does the same thing. This Mecha Godzilla definitely holds up to its predecessors in terms of carnage-inducing power, and ultimately it does take both Godzilla and Kong to take it down, so make of that what you will. Mecha Godzilla's first on-screen kill is of a skull crawler from Kong Skull Island. Skull crawlers are in this movie a few times, serving as cannon fodder before the big fights. And when Mecha Godzilla goes to deliver a killing blow to Godzilla in the final fight, he almost duplicates the same move Big G used to dispatch the Muto in 2014's Godzilla. And let's talk about that mech pilot, R.I.P. They didn't make a lot of this in the movie, but the pilot is actually Ren Serizawa, son of the late Ishiro Serizawa, Ken Watanabe's character from 2014's Godzilla. And in the opening credits, if you listen closely, you can hear the voice of Bill Randa, John Goodman's character from Kong Skull Island.
There's an ecosystem out there, the likes of which we can't imagine. And the place to find it is this island.
But what did you think of Godzilla vs. Kong? Who is the true king of the monsters? And where does the Monsterverse go from here? Let's battle it out in the comments. Anyway, thanks for watching this episode of Canon Fodder, and for more Monsterverse, check out our full review on Godzilla vs. Kong, and don't forget to follow and subscribe to IGN wherever you like to watch.